I prefer the uh, single mother households. The reason why, because now if black people were in a position where they're rooming, I think two-parent households should be only allocated for white people, because at the end of the day, they the one controls the nation, controls the vision, and they're going to benefit from two-parent household. The only thing the two-parent household is going to do for black people is do what? Reassure that you're supposed to submit yourself to proper authorities? Hell no.
Well, something I think a lot of parents should do more. I think whenever you have the opportunity to apologize, I think you should. And I think a lot of parents don't. But if you ever have the opportunity where you notice that you were wrong, I think that you should make it a point to tell your kid sorry. You know, I was wrong. I jumped the gun. I thought that you said this, or I thought that you did that, and I apologize. So.
Yeah, no, it's studies behind that. So I was watching the Parental channel the other day, and they was talking about that, and they said that some people believe that it's a sign of being a good leader when you're never wrong and you're always strong and right. But what you're essentially doing is training the kids that they can't make mistakes when you can't apologize yourself. So by you being able to apologize, admit fault, it can give them more trust in you and know that mistakes are mistakes and they can be corrected. And nobody is perfect, but they can come to you with those mistakes, and hopefully you can work through it. Like with my kids, I try not to. So they'll if they was gonna get punished, let's say 5% or 50%. Honesty is the other 50% of that. So I'm rewarding the honesty from a scenario even more so than the action, because I want to instill that you come to me and have the conversation about what's going on and you be honest with me. So when you get older, we'll already have that relationship. So if you was going to be on punishment 2 days for the issue, if you're honest with me, then it's going to be maybe 1.5 or 1 day. But if you lie, then it's 4 days. You know what I'm saying? Like you'll be double punished for not telling the truth and not owning up to it and not coming to me with the issue. Just to train that it's better to come to me, because I'm gonna try and help you, right? I'm gonna try and fix it plus help you. There's a consequence, but I'm always gonna be on your side. But I need the truth so I know how we can move through this scenario. And trying to lie or hide something for me is only gonna make the situation worse for yourself. So I'm really trying to ingrain them with that, because honestly, you don't know what your kid's gonna run into as far as external outside influences. And the best thing you got is for them to tell you what's going on. So I try and get like an update whenever they leave my wife and go to their family house or any other, like when they come home, I'm trying to, hey, how is this? Well, I'm checking the mood, the temperature, because I just want them to get used to running through, explaining the positive and the negative to me so I can get a very fair understanding of what they're going through. And I can judge their moods based off of that, because I know them real well because I have those conversations with them every time they leave my site.
You'd be surprised how fast they forgive you too. You apologize to you, be like, "It's okay, Daddy. It's all right." You know. Like.
No, Mike, it's funny that you say that. If you could apologize, because I'm 46 now. Can y'all hear me? Because I'm driving.
We can hear you. Yeah.
But okay, I'm 46 now, and I just recently, before my mom passed, spoke to her about some things when I was growing up. And that I don't think she never really knew why I really wanted to leave home. She never, you know what I mean? I just up and left. So we talked over some things. It's been 2 years now, but that was my first time hearing I'm sorry. And that trumped anything that, had happened all those years. But just to hear that at 44 at the time meant the whole lot. She passed maybe 4 months later, but to hear that after all that time. So I'm definitely with you, Mark, when you said that kind of struck a little nerve, but yeah.
All right, let me go ahead and ask this next question. Can a father teach femininity effectively?
Yes.
Can you elaborate a little bit more about
Wait. Now, is he finna teach his daughter like how to do her hair, makeup? No, these are like mannerisms. And you would think a man would be experienced in learning the proper mannerisms from women if he's had a plethora of experiences with plenty of them, right? So he knows how a woman should talk, how she should walk, how she should present herself, like her expectations. That comes from him encountering women, even women that he found to be unsavory, right? So if femininity is really about like the qualities that you embody, I think you all as men who are literally our counterparts, you should be experienced in that. I could be wrong because, man, I'm just a woman, but I'm going to let y'all, since it was posed as men, if y'all could do it, I think so. I could be wrong, so I land.
You know, I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say yes. I don't think it's something that you teach. I think femininity is an energy that you embody. So if your daughters have the space to be feminine, then they'll be feminine. If they have the opportunity, if that's their role to be feminine, they will be feminine. The same way like an adult woman. It's femininity is like, it's just like my daughter is extremely feminine. She's just extremely feminine, but I don't put her in a space where she has to be masculine. I mean, when she in wrestling, you know, it's a little bit more, you know, like you got to be a little bit hard body in there, but outside of that, she's feminine because she's in the space to be. So yeah, I think depending on how masculine you are, well, you know, that'll determine how feminine she is.
I think it's almost like a secondhand teaching of femininity from a man, because I don't see how a man can teach a woman or their daughter to be feminine properly or effectively unless they're actually feminine themselves. I mean, you can teach her the qualities that you may see, or that you may think that this is how a woman should be and things like that, but it's just like a woman can't teach a man to be a man. She's not masculine in that sense, but she can teach him the things that, you know, certain structures and things, how he should carry himself as a man. But I don't, that's a little.
I got a little pushback for Jay. Maybe even a question, because I would have to say I agree with I would disagree with you from the standpoint that a man has to be feminine in order to teach femininity and be effective at it. How did you know, Jay, as a woman, that a man was supposed to open your door?
Because my dad showed me that. That's why I said secondhand, in a sense of what you should be, how you should be treated, the things that you should do. But go ahead.
True about
well, no, I can leave it there for that example. We can go across a number of them, but basically, I think we're ineffective in ability to teach you how to emotionalize being a woman. No, we'll never know how to do that. That's not our gift. But I do think
so. Probably what I'm thinking when I hear that. Which is why I said maybe elaborate just so I can.
Well, because when I think our job is to create the structure in the environment. I think if you're entrusted under my tutelage as, you know, my daughter in that capacity of being a father, it's my job to instruct you on what you're supposed to expect, how you're supposed to arrive, how you're supposed to conduct oneself as a young lady. That is a feminine training, you know, it's instruction. So, yeah, I think we can definitely be effective in it. I think a lot of reasons why you don't see a lot of feminine women now is because there is no men to give that further and doubling down in instruction. They're being taught by women incorrectly of what it is. That women to women is just
good point. That's a good point.
Well, thank you. Yeah, women to women are just women. That doesn't mean that she's necessarily carrying through her level of maturation and development. I think that comes from us, and that's why we're so vital, in my opinion. And then I'll land.
And I would ask everybody to just take a step back before they answer this and like really think about it holistically. Like, if there's an all-woman household, does that mean that they're going to be producing an extremely feminine product? Because I know that typically the women that I meet who have fathers and brothers, they're typically the most feminine women that I meet. And you can almost tell when a woman has been around that type of energy because she's never had to embody masculine energy. She could always call her dad, call her brother. Oh, like, I don't like the energy here. Let me call my dad. Come pick me up, right? Whereas another type of girl who might have been raised with all women is like, she ready to fight. You know, she ready to, you know, so yeah.
I do agree with that,
Good.
because I've seen it on the opposite, where there was a man who was raised by his mom and all sisters, and he was like the nicest person, as far as like, kind of had like a level of understanding, knew how to speak to a woman, making sure they kind of just like understood. So I do agree with that.
Yeah, I think it can be influenced, but not taught. I think when you say taught is as if there's a 6-year-old girl and she's masculine and you're trying to teach her how to go all the way to feminine. I can't see a dude doing that, not a straight one. But by science, women are naturally going to be feminine. That's what they are. Outside factors and lifestyles and culture, other stuff start to get them to be off. Just like a man is naturally, or a boy is naturally still going to be a boy. But put it in the right environment, like Mont was saying, you can influence them to stay on that track. But teaching as if you're going to turn them all the way from one to the other, in my mind, I can't picture a man doing it or a woman doing it for a man or being but so effective.
Yeah, so Scam, I think y'all make a good point. I think femininity kind of is something that's preserved, right? So the more they have somebody to protect them, the more they have somebody that they can get assistance from, the less they have to tap into some aggressive self-protection mode. So like a lot of the men will talk about trauma that women have within relationships, but that's based off of them dealing with men and having to figure things out themselves. And the older they get, the more typically bad interactions and the more unladylike some people can become in those scenarios, right? When it comes to like with my wife, for example, I think her not having to be single as an adult and deal with all these other men has been able to help her preserve a specific type of energy that would be considered extremely feminine by most people, because it's dainty, it's soft, it's not dealing with a lot of just traumatic ass experiences or having to defend yourself, or not. Like, she always know, like, yeah, I can call my man at any time, he gonna come handle this shit, so I don't have to have any type of energy whatsoever. But to the point that knowing that you're gonna have to get up and fight for yourself, that do change you as a person. It changed how you interact with people. It changed how you perceive situations. And if you feel like you have to protect yourself, you can't let things go. You have to be on top of everything, because nobody has you but you. And you can't preserve femininity in that type of environment. They kind of gotta, they're in survival mode, protection mode. A lot of women will talk about, like, I'm operating in survival mode right now, or I was operating in previous relationships in survival mode. That's why I couldn't get into the energy that maybe could have kept the man or made it go how it was supposed to go. And yeah, I don't think you could teach a woman how to be feminine, because it's the energy, and we don't, as men, like Scam said, we don't teach you how to do that, straight men at least. But we can preserve your femininity and preserve the thing that makes that energy special, and not taint it.
I would say yes and no. I appreciate the masculinity. Hold on, let me turn this up.
What you in the
I
hospital?
appreciate the masculinity that black mothers taught us.
Yeah.
You can hear me?
Yeah, what you at a site ward?
You can hear me?
Yeah.
No, I'm at work. I'm a caregiver.
Oh, okay. I know what's going on.
I wipe
seen
ass
some
and shit.
medical. Okay, well, hey.
Yeah. So I like the masculinity that our black mamas taught us compared to the black men. And when this is where I disagree with a lot of y'all, what y'all was saying. One, to the Marcus point, when he say how to get his kids to tell the truth to him, I think it depends on the environment that we are in. I would want, like, my daughters, she won't tell me the truth. I don't care if her life is in danger. And one thing I love about it, I respect it, because I don't want to raise no snitch, no way. So a lot of us parents, we teach our kids to be something that we don't even value, right? That's one. Secondly, when it comes down to 2-parent households, I prefer the single mother households. The reason why, because now if black people were in a position where they're ruling, I think 2-parent households should be only allocated for white people, because at the end of the day, they the one controls the nation, controls the vision, and they're going to benefit from 2-parent household. The only thing the two-parent household is going to do for black people is do what? Reassure that you're supposed to submit yourself to proper authorities? Hell no. I like the fact that I like to say that, and I can say this. And this is why I go back to your question you just asked me. When it comes to masculinity, I learned how to be gangsters from the women than the men. Men is too logical to the point where they become a bitch. Were they too scared to even try something because they always think about if they could get hurt, what can happen? They could go to jail. And then when you look at a lot of these dudes that have that influence that comes on these platforms, we don't respect True Table, right? Come on now, True Table is the embodiment of the two-parent households raised correctly. I won't want my sons to walk around like dude. My son gonna be gangster, big. So I don't no. I like I appreciate the women upbringing from it might be disunfortunate, but women teach you how to live, and also women teach you how to feel. And a lot of us, men, we was taught not to walk around being vulnerable, but at the same time, it's something special when it's something special in the black community, in the black single mammy community, how we done turned out. And I could looking at these men coming up here that had two parents, man, I appreciate being from the single mammy community. Facts.
Jay Prince, I got a question for you.
Jay Prince, go ahead, man. I got one too.
My question is, I'm assuming, right, and you can correct me if I'm. You consider yourself to be an extremely masculine man, a masculine man, or what do you consider yourself to be?
Masculine and feminine.
Masculine and feminine. So, is there a certain percentage of each?
Well, because I'm impulsive. Sometimes I'm hard to rational with, especially when I get in my feelings. And I appreciate that though. After I express my feelings, and after I, get through the conflict, I feel good afterwards. So, sometimes you gotta. I love the way black women do it. When you look at black women, when you look at how black men get treated by white men, and how black women get treated by white men, black women is the only ones that stand up to them niggas. Black men just gonna conform. So when I'm talking about femininity, I'm not saying that I'm a gay dude. No, what I'm saying is I'm emotional radical. Sometimes I like to dress. Sometimes I used to spend my money on stuff that didn't matter. But I damn sure felt good, and all the bitches loved me. So at the end of the day, I still got rewarded. So it is what it is.
So my question is, right? So considering what you think of True Table, right, and then what you think of yourself, why do you think that your upbringing and it is better than his, based on the outcomes and what the future holds for both of you?